So I'm not allowed to save anything if I'm on a free trial? Why is this not the default? I did it again and again. I'm resisting the urge to spend this entire video complaining about how my chalk brush doesn't work. Greetings, Paper Demons. Today I am going to share my experience learning and using Clip Studio Paint. I recently watched a video by Jazza, who's a very popular art YouTuber, who talked about the rise and fall of Adobe. Now, I have been a long-term Adobe user for it's more than 20 years now. I have been using Adobe products, mainly Photoshop for my illustration. I've used other programs over the years. I used to use, Corel Painter or something. There was several years where I used that heavily, but for the most part, Photoshop has been what I've been using. I've also been using their Adobe Premiere for video editing. But anyway, Jazza's video really inspired me to try to move away from Adobe. So I decided, let's try Clip Studio Paint. Hey, this is Susie from the editing room. I just wanted to clarify my reasoning for ditching Adobe. One of the main reasons I'm doing this now is Clip Studio Paint has a time-lapse feature, and this can be very useful for creating social media content. Photoshop doesn't have such a feature, and a lot of other programs, art programs now have this feature. Adobe has also failed to innovate with their products within the last 10 years, and when they do, the features they release are pretty buggy. Their practices with regard to access to your creative work and potentially using it to train their AI models without your consent is also of concern. But one of the biggest reasons is the price. I'm spending like $600 a year just for one license to access the software, and I have to keep paying it in order to keep using it. Whereas if I were to buy Clip Studio Paint, I pay once for it. So it's going to save me a lot of money by transitioning to other things. Okay, back to the video. I chose to try Clip Studio Paint because it works with all of my brushes. I have a lot of brushes that I've purchased over the years for Photoshop that I'm really happy with. And if I could use those brushes in Clip Studio Paint, that will make my transition much smoother. So here we are. I've got all my brushes imported. You can see them on the left here. I'm going to try drawing something simple today, just like a simple icon I'm going to use for the PaperDemon website. I'm hoping that my Photoshop keyboard shortcuts are mostly the same and carry over into Clip Studio Paint. I also, in terms of what tablet I'm using, oh, hi kitty. I have XP Pen. I've been using this for 4 or 5 years, maybe longer than that, and I've been very happy with it. So looks like already I am able to use my XP Pen to change the brush size, which is really nice. All right, so I was thinking of making like a Patreon icon of some kind. Sorry, my kitty is meowing and she's distracting me. Okay, so far I just from initial, oh, did it just change my brush? I clicked on the B icon to switch from the eraser to the brush, and it did not go back to my other brush. That's weird. Oh, I guess because there's a difference between sketch brushes and regular brushes. Oh, I imported all of my painting brushes into the sketch panel. That is not good. Okay, let's see. Can I move these? Okay. All right, looks like I can move them over. So far that's confused me. So there's a sketch tool and then there's a brush tool. I was not expecting that. Okay, so P is for the sketch tool, B is for the brush tool. Okay, so it says P is a shortcut for sketch, but when I hit P it goes to pen. Oh, it's a toggle? That's confusing to me, but I'm so used to Photoshop. All right, anyway, let's try and make a icon. I was thinking of making an icon to kind of represent our early access for our game. So I don't know, we could go with like an hourglass or something. I want to make something kind of cute. Diamond, you want to get out? Okay, Kitty has left the building. Not the building, she's left the room. What did I just do? Oh, I'm so used to hitting B for the brush tool that now I have like switch to some other brush that I didn't intend to. Yeah, okay, this is really tripping me up. Actually, this would be a good opportunity for me to try out Lazy Nezumi. So I use this tool, Lazy Nezumi. I've been using it for about 6 months, which is, it's got some really nice rulers and stuff helping you draw circles, ellipses, straight lines and that kind of thing. I find it very helpful. Also good for perspective. So I've been using that with Photoshop. Let's see if I can get this to work with Clip Studio Paint. Hey, look at that. Okay, so I can use my tool here. I could draw a little... cool. So that worked. All right, I think I do like this pocket watch idea. Let's see, how do I change the opacity? Oh, here we go. Undo, looks like it works the same, which is great. So I am impressed that this pencil brush in particular works pretty much the same. I use this brush a lot, so I'm just happy that it works good. I did it again and again. I think that's gonna take a lot of getting used to. Okay, let's see if I can change the opacity of the brush. So in Photoshop, I could press the number keys to quickly change opacity. It looks like that doesn't work. I'm looking to see if there's like a way to add brush opacity. Oh, you can set keyboard shortcuts for specific brushes. Oh, that's cool.
A few moments later.
I really wish they had a search option here where I could just search for what I'm trying to change, because there's so many settings here and it's very granular, which I'm sure is great for some people, but for me, like, I'm just trying to change the opacity. I'm gonna have to Google it. Hold on. Oh, apparently there's a keyboard shortcut to change any brush into an eraser. Here we go. Ink opacity. Here we go. Why is this not the default? Yay. Okay. Yes. Yes. Excellent. So I went to go save my file and it's telling me I have to purchase and register a license to use this feature. So I'm not allowed to save anything if I'm on a free trial? I thought I had a free trial. I can't save? Okay, so it looks like I have to register my free trial. Okay, I feel like they should make that easier, because I was about to, like, I can imagine other people would want to like just give up. Okay, I can save now. So I'm not sure what format to use to save my files. I kind of feel like I want to just stick with PSD. One, because like everything I have is that format, and two, like that's a format other programs can open. So I think I'm going to go with that, but if you have recommendations for another format, let me know. I did it again. I pressed the wrong button. I'm actually digging how this looks without using Lazy Nezumi, so I might just not use it here. Sometimes it's hard to get the ellipse to look right because I'm not having the right perspective or whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna try scaling this. I'm gonna try scaling this layer. Transform, Control T. Let's give this a try. Works about the same as Photoshop, so that's good. I mean, so far, I am appreciative of the fact that a lot of the Photoshop shortcuts are working. All right, let's try the lasso tool because I want to move something on the sketch layer. So it seems like moving and scaling is like a sub tool of the lasso, which I think is how it works in Procreate. So I wasn't super confused by that, but it's definitely different than Photoshop. Oh, another thing I want to try doing, because another thing I like to do is when I'm sketching, I like to change the color of the line art to make it easier to see distinguish my final line art from my sketch. So let's see if I double click on a layer, if I can change the layer styles. Let's see, do they have layer styles? Layer color feature, where you could add an effect that tells it the layer color. So how about like a glow effect? Can you do a glow effect? So I can't do a glow? Okay, so that's disappointing. I can understand why it wouldn't have that though, because like this is a tool for artists, not for graphic designers. And what I'm looking for, you know, I use Photoshop not only for illustration, but for graphic design stuff too. So I'll have to come up with alternatives or something, or you know, manually paint in my glow effects or whatever that I need to do. So anyway, let's carry on. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Like, have you guys been using Clip Studio Paint for a while? I know a lot of members of the community have been using it. If you previously used to be a Photoshop user for creating art, I'd love to know if you have any tips in the comments and why you may have switched from Photoshop. You know, I think it's interesting to hear people's reasonings. I know a lot of people abandoned Photoshop when they moved to a subscription model. But the thing is, like, the way it worked before is you'd buy a license and you wouldn't be able to get new versions after that with that product key. But what was nice about having like a subscription model is you could always have the most up-to-date software and you got access to the full suite. Whereas the way they had it before is like they had different suites. So they had like a video suite and they had an illustration suite. And if you happen to do video and illustration, then you would have to pay for two suites and there would be duplicate programs in both, and that didn't work. I know a lot of people don't like the subscription model, and I don't want to sit here like fully defending it, because I do think that they vastly overpriced it. I don't think it's fair that you have to pay like $600 a year for access to their software, when before, you know, you could pay for it once and have it last for many, many years and end up spending a lot less. I feel like they should have made the deal better than the way that they did it. I'm starting to appreciate the fact that there's 3 different tools, like sketch, ink, brush, and eraser. So there's 4 actually. I can see the benefit there, because I actually do switch quite a bit between those 4 things. So having them as separate keys allows me to avoid having to swap brushes all the time. I just have like 4 keys for the different brushes that I use most frequently. What did I do here? Oh, I'm not on black. That's okay. Oh, okay. I tried to change the default colors. I tried to hit D. What did I do? That doesn't do what I expected it to. So in Photoshop, D changes the foreground background color to black and white, which is handy if you want to like quickly switch to inking color. Looks like that does something else entirely, and now I have completely lost my brushes panel. I don't know how to get that back. Where are my brushes? Oh, I see. I have this other tool selected right now. All right, how do I color pick? Does it color pick? Oh yes, color picker works. Great. Okay, another thing I use a lot, brush blending modes. So like multiply I use a lot, and color dodge. Let's see if this has that. I'm gonna have to Google again. Click this little wrench thing to get access to all the things. I have to say that is not intuitive at all. I would have expected it to be like another tab here or something, or a big button. Having this tiny little icon in the bottom to get access to this is not user-friendly, I don't think. Okay, blending mode here, multiply, that's probably what I wanted. So like normally I would just, I don't know if you could see, but for some reason it's not doing the full size of the brush, it's just doing the inner part of it. When I press really hard, it does everything, sort of. It's like it's blending 2 different brushes together. This looks terrible. Okay, well, I guess I'll just use this gouache brush for now and see how that goes. I'm also kind of disappointed that this blending mode is so buried, because I switch a lot from multiply to normal to color dodge. Oh, I see this little eye icon. I could put this here and then it shows up in the tool property. Okay. Okay. All right. Now I understand why they put this in a wrench icon, because now I can have it always available. All right. Yay. Yay. I figured it out. My art is definitely going to look different since I'm using a different brush here. So this is the main reason why I didn't want to switch off of Photoshop. It's like, I have my brushes. I've been using these brushes a long time. I don't really want to have to learn new brushes, because honestly, one of the hardest things about digital art I've always found is like understanding and utilizing brushes properly, because I have seen people make amazing artwork with the same brushes I'm using, and I can't get them to work in the same way they do because I don't understand what the right scenario is to use specific brushes. Because part of it is just because there's so many options for brushes. Like I bought this really cool set of gouache brushes from Maddie Belwar, and they are fantastic brushes. But I really struggle with knowing when to use specific brushes. She does include a video tutorial with the brushes, which I have watched them, and they are super helpful because then I start to understand, okay, if you're trying to do this, use this brush. If you're trying to do that, use that brush. But yeah, I don't have a good chalk brush here. The one that I normally use just doesn't work right, and I don't seem to have an alternative right now that works well. So I may have to buy a new set of chalk brushes that maybe kind of give me a similar vibe. But just for the rest of this video, I'm going to use this particular brush. The other thing too is when I'm doing simple objects and stuff like this, I don't like to use a lot of different brushes because it's too slow to have to change brushes. So when I'm just doing like items and icons and that kind of stuff, I just mostly stick to like my pencil brush and my square chalk brush. So I'm resisting the urge to spend this entire video complaining about how my chalk brush doesn't work. Another thing I've noticed is if I switch to a different brush, that blending mode disappears. It seems to be something that you like. What appears in this tool property panel is dependent on the brush. So on a per brush basis, when you change brushes, you then have to re-click on this thing to tell it to have the blending mode visible, which is not optimal for my personal workflow. Is there a way I can star a brush? Procreate has this feature where you can star like your favorite brushes. Is there a way I can do that? Okay, so I've opened up this thing called Quick Access, which apparently you could put like your favorite brushes and stuff in there. There we go. Okay, cool. I have noticed that there's a lot of lag in some of these brushes, which is disappointing. I mean, it could be the specific brush I'm using and the fact that my file is kind of big. My canvas is 4200 by 4200. That's usually what I work in for these items. I feel like if it weren't for the fact that I had to switch to different brushes and I'm learning the interface, I totally would have been done with this artwork a long time ago. So this is definitely taking me a lot longer to finish my art. However, I do feel like this is just a growing pain or initial pain of using the software. Once I get a good feel for things and find good brushes that I like, that work the way that I want them to, you know, I can probably work much more efficiently. So I'm not saying this about brushes that are built into Clip Studio Paint. I am actually still using brushes that I had imported from Photoshop that I have purchased or were given for free or whatever. Trying to find something similar to my beloved chalk brush. Just nothing quite feels like that brush. So I'm telling you, this video is turning into me ranting about the fact that I don't have my favorite brush in here working. At least I'm able to like try this out and go into this knowing, I appreciate that I can have a free trial and that I can import things. It just does make the transition easier. I'm a little bit nervous how things are going to go when I do like a bigger illustration because of the lag with the brushes. Because typically I have like a really big canvas. I usually try to do like 10,000 pixels wide because there may be a chance that I have to print that illustration like really large on a banner at some point. So that's why I like to work really large. So I may have to work with smaller file sizes or smaller canvases. We'll see. So I'll have to do another test and try to do something larger and see how well it performs. Well, my sparkle brushes are working really well, so that's good news. So my star brush works pretty good in Clip Studio Paint. There's just a minor difference in that the preview of the brush shape is not working properly. Okay, I think we're done. So just a few conclusions, some notes for you. If you're thinking of moving away from Photoshop for doing digital art, I do think that Clip Studio Paint is a good alternative. Like I said, you can import your Photoshop brushes into here. I did hear that there is 2 different types of brush formats. There's TPL and there's ABR. Most of your brushes are most likely ABR format. Those do import into Clip Studio Paint. However, I've heard that the TPL format does not import, so just bear that in mind. I do recommend it, at the very least, downloading the free trial. As you saw in the video, you do have to make sure that you go through the steps to register and specifically pick that you want the 30-day trial if you want to be able to save. So keep that in mind, and also keep in mind your brushes aren't going to work exactly like they do in Photoshop. So as I ran into with my favorite chalk brush, you're not going to be able to use some of them like the same way. Of course, you can play around with the settings. Adjusting brush settings can always be like a very overwhelming process because there's so many different options to try and you don't really know which ones are the right ones to adjust. So you will have to do a little bit of experiment, and also just plan for the fact that it is going to take you longer to complete artwork when you first start using the program. As far as like what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna continue to use this software for the next few weeks and try and just avoid doing anything in Photoshop and make sure that I am able to do all or most of the things that I want to do, and for those things I can't do, find workarounds. Because my goal is within a month to stop using Adobe products and cancel my subscription. So maybe I'll do another video to give you an update on how that's going. If you're an artist and you want to draw original characters or draw other people's original characters, check out the PaperDemon Art role-playing game. Draw each other's characters, fighting monsters, going on adventures. It's a lot of fun. And we do a lot of fun challenges, and every month we've got major events. So check out the link in the description to learn more about the PaperDemon Art role-playing game. All right, thanks for checking out this video. Don't forget to let me know in the comments any tips you have for Clip Studio Paint. Thank you. See you in the next video. Bye.